Hey guys, it's Multitask Renders here. So, I noticed I haven't been making tutorials lately, so I decided to make a tutorial in this video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this realistic forest render in Blender 2.8. But, before moving on, I just want to tell you that I'm going to be using most of the assets from blendswap and also from textures.com for this project. So make sure to check those out. But don't worry, the link will be in the description. Okay, so let's begin. The first step you do is delete the cube and add a plane. Now scale the plane up and subdivide it about 100 times, and then subdivide it again. Now let's just sculpt some random bumpness on the plane. Go into the sculpt mode, choose the draw brush, turn off the symmetry, and start sculpting wherever you want the bump to be. Okay, if you feel satisfied with your sculpt, you can delete the camera, delete the light, and let's move on to the environment now. Go into the render view. As you can see, it's all dark. Go into the world settings, switch the color to environmental texture, open up an HDRI texture. As you can see, now you have your HDRI loaded in your background, and also it has reflected all over your plane. Now go ahead and add a sun lamp to just for the reference from where the light is coming from. Point it from the right side or even the left side, just for a better view. Okay, now increase the sun's strength by going to the strength of the light and increasing it to about 5. And now you have a better view of your plane here. Now go ahead and freely add the camera wherever you want, position it, and you can also even increase the focal length by going into the camera settings. Now select the plane and hit Shade Smooth to just make the vertices a little bit smoother. Now split the tab, go into the shader editor and hit New. It's time for texturing. Go ahead and do Ctrl-Shift-T and add the bunch of textures that you got from textures.com. As you can see now, you've got this really cool PBR texture already loaded in on your map. As you can see, our texture is perfectly based now, but there's still room for improvement. So split the shader editor, open a UV and wrap workspace, and open up the texture that you chose to put it on your map. Select the map, go into tab mode, U, and unwrap. Now hit S and 2 to scale it up a bit. And there you go, you have a really cool looking texture. If you want, you can also select the UV map in the normal map settings, or you can increase the amount of texture space you want on your map, on your plane. For me, I'm also gonna increase the normal map value, so that just gives me a little more of a bump on the map. Now it's time for the grass and all the other assets. You can get these assets from blendswap. It's a really great website where you can exchange blender models, even trees. Now I just went ahead and copied all the blendswap items that I downloaded from blendswap and I pasted it in my project. These are the basic grass and fern materials that I got for this. Okay, now it's time to add some particle system on the plane. Go into the plane and add a particle system, select hair, advanced, and rotation. Go into the render settings and select object and then select the grass or the particle that you want to put as on the plane. Now as you can see, we have got our grass. Make sure to select object rotation so that you get a really good separated particles on your plane. You can increase the scale of the object so that it'll look more bigger. You can also randomize the phase of the object by going into the rotations tab and randomizing the phase. If you have a problem that your particles are not sticking up the plane, you can always choose global coordinates for the particle and then align it near the plane. You can also change the number of particles, let's say for 10,000, but it really matters how much your PC can handle, so it depends on you. Now let's add weight paint. Go into the edit mode, select A for everything, and go into the vertex groups, add a new group, name it grass. This is going to be for our grass. Then hit assign. Now you can go into the particle settings, back down into the vertex groups, and select the vertex group that we just made. Now you can freely go into the weight paint mode and paint where we want the particles to be. You can also decrease or increase the weight where you want the particles or you don't want the particles. I would randomly choose where I want the particles. I would not try to put too many particles in my scene because that would just lag my viewport. It really depends on you how much you put the particles. You can also unhide and hide the particle system that you just made. If it slows down your report, you can hide it to make it smoother. Now do the same thing for everything else. This is just what basically you do. The more particles you have, the more diverse your environment is going to be. So as you can see here, I took the ferns. I did the same thing to the ferns. If you're confused how to add the vertex groups again, you can just click the plus sign to the vertex group and then assign it back. Here I'm basically adding all the weight paints and all the particle systems that I got, and just the more particle system you have, the more realistic and diverse your grass or your environment is going to be. So make sure to put that in. So here I've hidden all the particle systems, and I'm making sure that I've turned the render settings to cycles and the render to around 200 samples. Also, don't forget to save this project. Here I've just imported the trees that I got from blendswap. Actually, this one I made my own, but it depends on your choice what you want to do. Before moving on, if the tree has a particle system, go ahead and convert that particle system to make the tree and the tree branches one object. Now that your tree is a one object, you can freely add the tree to the particle system of the plane. Also, make sure that you choose a low number of trees in your viewport, in your particle system, because the trees is gonna take a lot of viewport's memory. And also, weight paint the trees only where you want them, not around or out of the scene. Okay, now let's add the volumetrics. Go ahead and add a cube and scale up the cube so that it fits the whole scene. Okay, now let's add a principal volume shader into the shader editor of the cube, which will make the cube foggy. As you can see nothing because the density is turned up too high, so you can turn down this density up to 0.02 or some sort. Just find the right settings until you get a perfect fog. Now just enable all the particle systems and go through all the settings once again. Find the right settings for you, and yeah, that's basically it. Hit render and you have your beautiful forest scene. Okay then, if you liked the tutorial, please leave a like and subscribe. Hope you liked the tutorial. I'm gonna meet you in the next one. Bye bye.